What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Diz TV. Today we are going to be taking a look at my top 10 favorite MCU films. Now, up to this point, Black Widow has not released yet, so I will not be doing a full ranking till that comes out. But anyway, let's get it kicked off with our honorable mentions. And our first honorable mention is SpiderMan Homecoming. This is a pretty fun film, giving us a bit of a different twist than normal Spider-Man films that we've seen in the past. It is a really fun film. And then, of course, our second honorable mention is Captain America: The First Avenger, part of, in my opinion, the best trilogy inside the MCU. It's a great film, just full of explosive action, and of course is a history piece, and I love history. Kicking off at number 10 is Doctor Strange. It is definitely the strangest film in the MCU. Pun completely intended, but this film is quite fun. It is full of a very weird side of the MCU, introducing us to the mystic arts. CGI was on point. My only gripe with this film would probably be that the villains were kind of meh, expected with especially first movie villains. But overall, it is a pretty solid film. At number 9 is Black Panther. This film surprised everybody, as it did super duper well back in 2018, even being nominated for a Best Picture Oscar. I really do enjoy this film. It's more think after the film is over about what you just watched. It is a very good film. Story and characters, we have one of the best villains in Killmonger. It really is a solid addition to the MCU. At number 8 is Spider-Man: Far From Home. I like this better than Homecoming because it again introduces us and really dives deeper into Spider-Man. It also, kind of similar to Spider-Man 2, gives us a relationship. But what really sets this movie apart from the others, it is the first film after the cinematic event that is Avengers Endgame, so we get to see how some of our characters, specifically Spider-Man, deal with the effects of that film. It also introduces us to a new villain in Mysterio. Coming in at number 7 is Guardians of the Galaxy. This was a extreme departure for the MCU. It really was kind of a shocker to many people who didn't know comic books that well, myself included, but this film was so well done. It is one of the funnier films in the MCU, and it gives us stakes for characters we just met. As of right now, there are some classic characters into the MCU. I mean, they threw us a talking raccoon and a tree that only says 3 words, and it's become pretty much a MCU classic. Coming in at number 6 is Civil War. This was so much tension in one film. Everything from the first scene to the last, you are wondering what's going to happen next. We see our heroes really break each other down. And of course, while the comic book of the same name has a very widespread version of it, this film is much more condensed, much more smaller. I do really like this film, and it introduces us to Black Panther and Spider-Man, which is awesome. Kicking things off to number 5 is The Avengers. This was the film that started my love for the MCU, and I loved it. It really was kind of a big film for me, but I really enjoyed this film. It is such a great way to bring together a group of remarkable people to see if they can do something bigger, and they did that. Off to number 4 is Thor Ragnarok. Probably the funniest film inside the MCU. It really helped Thor to have a much better series than he did. Thor: The Dark World and Thor were kind of okay. They weren't the best films ever made, and this film definitely helped to bring Thor to another level. Taika Waititi did a fantastic job, and of course combining both Hulk and Thor together was just such a good mix that I thought it was truly awesome. To number 3 though, it's Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Probably the most grounded of the MCU films. This film, again, similar to Ragnarok, really elevated Captain America. Not that Cap was bad, but he went from pretty cool superhero to a bad a superhero. This movie, very similar to Civil War, is so intense. It brings us one of the biggest shocks in the MCU with Hydra, and really just elevates the MCU as a whole from being kind of like a kiddie superhero thing to, oh, this is serious. We should probably take it a little bit more of that direction. Plus it introduces us to Falcon for the first time, and he's one of my favorite characters. Overall, this was a fantastic film, and I really like it. Moving on to number 2 is probably the most complete MCU film in Avengers Infinity War. Not only, in my opinion, is it the most complete film, it is also the most anticipated film in recent memory. I think the only thing that could maybe top it with that would be Star Wars The Force Awakens, but regardless of that, this film hits on so many levels. I have never been feeling so much tension at the beginning of a film as I did with this. Combining characters that we never thought we'd ever see on screen together. I never knew I needed a pairing of Groot, Thor, and Rocket. I do now. Doctor Strange and Iron Man together was fantastic. We have such great battles, and one of the best villains in movie history in Thanos. He's up there for sure with guys like, Darth Vader. So that shows you how good of a villain he is. And it also ended in one of the worst ways possible for our heroes, with them losing. The snap happens, and they all, or at least half the population, gets dusted. The last kind of quote-unquote Disney film this happened was Empire Strikes Back. So, again, shows you how good of a film this is. We don't see it quite often that the heroes lose, but man, did they deliver with this film. But at number 1 is Avengers Endgame. I love this movie. I love the interactions. I love that we get to kind of dive once again into our original 6 and really just take a good time with it. The time travel stuff is a little mixed up at points. Got so many cool interactions. Cap versus Cap. You get to see Ant-Man in this film, which is awesome, and get to see some characters who normally don't get a lot of screen time to get a whole bunch of screen time with guys like Nebula or War Machine. It was really cool to see. And of course, the reason why it's number 1 for me is that final act. The third act for this film is the best third act in superhero history, and nothing can top it. Everything from Hulk snap all the way to the end credits is phenomenal. We have so many references, we have so many cool moments. Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America taking on Thanos. We have Cap lifting up Thor's hammer. The portal scene is still to this day insane and still gives me chills. Nothing can top this film for me. I don't think we'll ever see a film like it. Unless they combine all the Disney characters together, I don't think we'll see a film quite like this one. Unless they come out with Secret Wars. But with that, that is my list. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe down below, as I do videos on Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, the parks, and so much more. I will see you all in the next video. Have a marvelous day. Goodbye.